Inside the Huddle with Sky Sports.
Welcome to the final Inside the Huddle of the 2024 NFL season from the Superdome, where I am joined by Phoebe Schechter, who's been the star of our Thursday shows this year and all week long here in New Orleans, and Mr. Monday, Jeff Reinbold. We dragged you back,
Is
Jeff.
that what day it was? I can't remember.
No, never
Monday
know.
your time?
Sunday
my
night.
time.
Yeah,
I never know what day it was when we did it, because often we would record the podcast just after I'd woken up and just before you were going to bed.
Exactly. The joys of living half a world apart.
There we go. So we are going to talk about the emphatic win of the Philadelphia Eagles. I think that's a good way to describe it. 40-22 over the Kansas City Chiefs here in the Superdome. And Phoebe, I think that scoreline flatters the Chiefs a bit. This was dominance, wasn't it, from the Eagles?
It was. I mean, the Chiefs didn't score in the first half, and it was truly the Eagles' defense that did such a phenomenal job. The second half, you saw Mahomes taking shots downfield, something that we were kind of hoping for in that first half, but my goodness, what a great performance by this Eagles team.
Jeff, we'll dig into some of how the Eagles won this game. Their second Super Bowl success in the past 8 seasons. It's quite incredible that it was really without Saquon Barkley doing the Saquon Barkley things we'd seen all year. He had 57 rushing yards.
Yeah, he didn't have the day, statistically that everybody anticipated he'd have. But you got to understand the Saquon Barkley effect. When he is in the backfield, Kansas City was doing everything in their power to stop the run, and they were effective with it the first half.
Right.
However, that put guys like A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith in one-on-one coverage, and credit Jalen Hurts, the MVP, for making plays with his feet, but also with his arm.
Yes, they challenged Jalen Hurts and said, we don't know if you can beat us because you have the 29th ranked passing attack. And actually, Phoebe, he had all the answers when they did shut down Saquon.
He did. I mean, and ultimately, this is the game we love to see, right? If you're the Eagles, what do you think the Chiefs are going to do? They're going to try and shut down Saquon Barkley.
Right.
Perfect. This is your opportunity as Jalen Hurts to be able to put the team on your back. We saw him taking those shots downfield.
Yep.
John Dotson starting it off, getting him close to the goal line like that. You know, it's sometimes the guys that we don't talk about as much, but they found the weaknesses in that Chiefs defense. And then ultimately you get to the second half. Okay, well, the first half they've got Nick Bolton playing spy on you. The second half, well, you've got to adjust your scheme because now the point differential is so high. Jalen Hurts, he reads it and he takes off and uses his legs.
Jeff, he had a big game against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. Obviously, he kind of played it down this week. Of course, he was going to make it about this game, not about the revenge, but he did have a big hangover from that, didn't he, losing that last game? This is going to be so special for Jalen Hurts, and to be named MVP, that's now 34th time a quarterback has won that award.
You know, it was interesting to hear Tom Brady talk about this week about it's not the ones you win that you remember, it's the ones you don't win that you remember. And it's the ones you don't win that the fans and the critics remember. And he's faced an awful lot of criticism, an awful lot of haters say he can't do this, he can't do that, he's not an effective passer, he can't read coverage. Well, tonight he showed that he was the best quarterback in this game.
And the other quarterback, talk about the ones you lose, Jeff. You saw the pain etched on the face of Mahomes. Actually, really emotional. He was in tears on the bench as the final seconds ticked off the clock.
I thought it was touching when you watched the second half, and it was evident that he said, I'm going to put this team on my back, and I'm going to find a way to win this game. And it was a heroic effort, really. He was able to do some things that defied description, but he was getting hit, guys.
Right.
Every down he was getting hit. And, frankly, they went to Xavier Worthy, who was their one playmaker, way too late in the game.
6 sacks of Patrick Mahomes, 3 turnovers forced by the Philadelphia Eagles defense, which was number 1 in the NFL coming into this game, and they backed it up in big-time style, Phoebe. And I guess it felt a lot like that loss that Mahomes had to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
It did. I mean, they completely had this kind of anaconda boa constrictor feel around it. They just gave no air. I mean, they're a team that is number 1 in not allowing explosive plays. When you see them rotating their coverage, they don't fly down and give you a gap in between. They play it slow, and they're really smart. They only rush 4, so that also challenges what you're seeing from a quarterback's perspective. And even when you had some of the mesh routes or the shallow work that they like to do, the Chiefs do, they were so good at open field tackling, coming down, and the fundamentals stepped up big. We heard Sirianni talking about this week. It's the details, the toughness, the tenacity that showed up.
We talked this week about how they might defend Mahomes. And Jeff, we look back at the game Mahomes lost in the playoffs to the Bengals when Cincinnati at times only rushed 3 and could drop everyone into coverage. I mean, the Eagles' ability to get home tonight, and Vic Fangio talked this week about doing it with discipline. They seemed to do that, didn't they?
They really did, until there were some garbage yards in the fourth quarter, at the end of the fourth quarter, that Kansas City got, and the score was a little, like you say, not indicative of what happened. I think the first half in particular was maybe the most dominant half of defense that I've seen in the Super Bowl.
Right.
You can talk about the Seahawks against Denver and New York.
Yeah.
You can talk about the '85 Bears when they dismantled New England. But I thought that Vic Fangio's game plan was outstanding. These guys are competitive guys, and he's been hearing all week about how Steve Spagnuolo is the greatest defensive coordinator in NFL history, and he's a great defensive coordinator. But hold on now. That old guy, that old fox, Vic Fangio, ain't bad either.
Well, Mahomes definitely got affected by the pressure, especially in the first half, Phoebe, didn't he? A couple of interceptions, having gone previously 9 games without throwing a pick, close to 300 passing attempts without an interception, and then Mahomes throws 2 out in the first half.
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to what Jeff was saying. The offensive line struggled so much. Earlier on in the season, you've had to take Joe Thuney, your all-pro left guard, move him out to tackle, which he does a great job, but that's not his position. Yeah. When you start bumping people around like that, everyone starts to make mistakes. You've got Juwan Taylor, who struggled against Josh Sweat, and they started, as Sue loves to call it, your pigeon. The pigeon could be the offensive lineman as well, and they started to bully them, and really Mahomes had nowhere to step up into to throw some of those footballs.
Mahomes was hit 109 times in the regular season. That was the most in his career. He was sacked 41 times coming into tonight's game. That's the most in his career. And Jeff, it felt like all the chickens kind of came home to roost for the Chiefs.
Well, the higher the stakes are in the game, when you start getting to championship football, if you have weaknesses, those things are going to show up. And exactly what you guys talked about. Phoebe talked about the offensive line. You can't take an all-pro guard, one of the better guards in football, move him to tackle, and play a guy like Caliendo, who he's a good young player, but he's a free agent. 32 teams passed on him 7 times. So, again, that's hard to do at the highest level because the competition on the other side makes you be good at everything. And tonight, Kansas City wasn't good protecting the quarterback, and they weren't good playing man-to-man coverage outside.
What was missing in the first half, Phoebe, for the Chiefs was balance. They had virtually nothing on the ground, and then by the time the second half started, that was too late to have that approach.
Yeah, Andy Reid talked about how they refined the playbook and so that they could allow their players to be able to play with speed and execute to an elite level, but there was no run game ultimately, and that's not to take away from this Eagles team, who do a great job. But one of the things that makes the Chiefs so special is their motions, their formations. They were leading the league and running 4 strong. We really didn't see any of that.
No.
And, it's interesting that we talk so much about how teams come into games like this against the Chiefs, and they have to alter themselves to play the Chiefs. It felt like the Chiefs altered who they were in this big stage.
Jeff, there was something wonderfully old school about these Eagles. They ended the season winning 16 of their last 17 games after a 2-2 start, and so much of it was running game. Before tonight, they were dominant on the ground, but they were dominant on both lines, and we certainly saw that on the defensive side. There's an old in the modern era of the NFL where it's all about speed and fancy stuff. There's a kind of football fundamentals to the Eagles, isn't there?
Yeah, there certainly is, and like Howie Rossman deserves a lot of credit because he built this roster. But additionally, Nick Sirianni had a small enough ego to step back in the offseason and let Rossman go out and get 2 coordinators, veteran coordinators. And we talked about Fangio and what he did to a defense that was last half of the season last year. They were bad. And now you go out and get an offensive coordinator who has played in the league. He's been a coordinator at other places in the league, and your offense is not as nearly as one-dimensional as they've been. They're a physical football team. Philly loves them because Philly's a tough town.
Yeah.
And they are, in essence, more than anything else, a tough football team.
Well, Jeff, let's stay on the coaching theme then. Get the thoughts of one coach about another. Nick Sirianni, after the week 4, so going into their week 5 bye, they're 2-2, and there was a local Philly radio station that ran a poll to ask, should Nick Sirianni be fired or kept on? And 79% of the Eagles fans said fire him right now. And he just went on this run that has ended with him sleeping with the Lombardi tonight.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. Phoebe knows this because she coached in the league. They booed Santa Claus in Philadelphia. So they wanted to fire Santa Claus. I don't think they care about Nick. If you're going to fire Santa Claus, you'll fire Nick Sirianni.
And he just hasn't backed down from who he is, Phoebe. I mean, he's changed over, but he still kind of wears his heart on his sleeve, doesn't he?
He doesn't. That doesn't have to be a bad thing.
No,
you can be authentic, and that allows others to be authentic around you, right? How are they going to know as players what's acceptable, what's allowed? Well, it's the tone that you're setting.
Yeah.
And so ultimately, he's taken on a role where he's strictly head coach. We've seen him as a play caller.
Yep.
We've seen him come back to being a head coach. And this is what works best for him. He's able to manage the team. He's able to manage the personalities because there's a lot of personalities on these teams. We've seen that pop up. A.J. Brown earlier on to the end of last year. And so I think it's really humble of him to be able to say, all right, who are the best coordinators that I can find? You're going to go do this and allow them to take advantage of the strengths of the team.
Coach of the week should be easy, Jeff, today.
Absolutely, and it ain't Santa Claus.
No, exactly.
But you know what? This is really interesting, I think, because, now it's going to get tougher on the Eagles because Kellen Moore is going to be the head coach with the Saints, right? So you're going to have to go out now and replace another coordinator. There are guys on your roster that are going to expect paydays now.
Right.
Nick is going to find out that the toughest year of your coaching career is after you've had the most success in your coaching career.
The Chiefs obviously didn't get the three-peat, so that's still not been done in the Super Bowl era. And when Mahomes got beaten up bad by the Bucs 4 years ago, they went out and just tried to upgrade their offensive line immediately. Now they've got some questions, Kansas City, because that raises its head again. And also what happens with Travis Kelce, who's 35. He wouldn't commit to playing in 2025. So this is how quickly things can change, right, in the NFL. 5 hours ago, we were talking about a three-peat. Now we're asking questions about how the Chiefs can fix themselves.
I mean, that's not sure what's going to happen. Both these teams are going to have to find ways to fix themselves.
Yeah.
Even the Eagles who won, they're going to have to find ways. The beauty that the Chiefs have had is that they've always been able to stay ahead of the sticks in the sense of, okay, they're able to add upgrades to their team time and time again. Now, remember, they had a lot of injuries early on.
Right.
Rasheed Rice, Sky Moore, Hollywood Brown, who only recently came back, Isaiah Pacheco. I mean, the list goes on and on. So I think they can be comfortable with who they've got going forwards. I mean, the fact that you've got a rookie in Xavier Worthy being your number one receiver in the Super Bowl, I think it says a lot to maybe not who they want to be right now, but 12 one-score games, and they still managed to get here.
Right.
They're just going to have to make those little tweaks.
They've won their last 17 one-score games, the Eagles. So the Chiefs, sorry. So that record stays intact at least because this one wasn't close. I mean, Jeff, the Eagles, have they got a chance to run this back? It's always the question we ask at this time of year.
I think, yes, they have a chance because this is the best roster in football. And you can argue that all you want, but I think you got to really look at every level of their football team.
Right.
They're very good. Now, dealing with winning is sometimes harder than winning. And I think that's what we're going to see. The maturity. How much is Jalen Hurts going to be able to be that leader now? Not only just to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback, but to be a leader in the offseason. Keep this team together, keep this team focused, keep this team going in the right direction. Jordan Mailata is going to take a lot of that role as a rising young star on that offensive line.
Thank you, Jeff, for mentioning Jordan, because I think we all want to celebrate him from the international player pathway from Australia, obviously the rugby background. Phoebe didn't really know very much about American football at all when he went into that program. You were there at the time and saw what he did, how he advanced, how the Eagles grew him and developed him, and now he's a Super Bowl champion.
You know, it's just phenomenal for him. I remember 2018 where he put on helmet and shoulder pads for the first time, and
Right.
he's been to 2 Super Bowls
like,
ever
which way
since.
round?
Exactly, but I mean, it's incredible, and that's also speaks to the Eagles, Coach Stoutland, and what he's been able to do. Jeff knows better than anyone. I mean, offensive line is one of the trickiest positions. It's
Yeah.
also one of the positions where you have 5 guys you're coaching up.
Right.
It's not like quarterback where you got one playing on the field at a time.
Right.
Offensive line is so hard, and they saw something in Jordan that really nobody else saw, and his work ethic, his determination, his dedication to being the best version of himself. I'm just so proud of him. He's a gentle giant, really.
Yeah, these are the stories, Jeff, now that as we reflect on this Super Bowl, which was very comfortable for the Philadelphia Eagles. You got Saquon Barkley, spends 6 years with the Giants, is lost with the New York Giants, comes to Philadelphia, rushes for more than 2,500 yards, the most of any player in NFL history in a single season. And he didn't need to have and he won't care one jot that he didn't have a big game tonight, because he's now gone from being lost in New York to top of the world.
And he's on his birthday. He wins a Super Bowl on his birthday. How about that? Cooper DeJean, another great story.
First interception.
First interception on his birthday in the Super Bowl. The kid grew up in Ida Grove, Iowa. The entire population of Ida Grove, you could put it, it's 2,000 by the way.
They can get in this studio.
You could put it in this studio right here.
I'll tell you what, Cooper DeJean, when he took his helmet off and was celebrating at the end, if he's going to go out and have a drink tonight to celebrate, he better take his ID with him. He looks about 15 years old.
It's amazing, and like you say, here was a kid they took in the second round, and some people said it was a reach. He can't play corner in the NFL. When Vic made the commitment to say, okay, you're going to be our slot corner, you're going to be our nickel, that entire defensive secondary changed. And you look at statistically how much they improved defensively when they inserted Cooper DeJean into the lineup. And again tonight to win the Super Bowl on your birthday and score a touchdown.
Brilliant. Jeff, you just mentioned a couple of minutes ago about dealing with winning. So, Phoebe, you're going to have to deal with winning, and we'll see if you win with class, because...
No, not at all.
You're just going to win.
Not at all. Cake for everybody in here.
Wait, that wasn't the agreement?
No. This is a team win. This is a team win. We've got...
So we were equal going into our picks, going into tonight's game. I picked the Chiefs. Phoebe picked the Philadelphia Eagles. There was coffee and a piece of cake, cake on the line.
Confusing. When you get a 40 burger, you get more than one cake.
If I can't give you cake, would you like humble pie?
Oh, okay. I'm not Saquon Barkley. I don't have to be humble.
No, you're just being weird and enjoy.
Lamar
Exactly.
All-time moment tonight to me was we're in the booth, and all of a sudden, it's late in the game, and the dun 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 dun.
Oh yes,
I goes off, and I'm thinking, what? The Chiefs fans are celebrating what? And then I look down, and it's everybody in green. Dun, dun, dun. What a way to get in underneath Kansas City's skin.
Jeff, just to take you in behind this, this got so out of hand in terms of a blowout here that Fitz asked if I wanted to give him a kiss. That's when you know it.
Trolling was happening everywhere.
Move your beard.
That's when
You did say that.
I did say not with that beard. Not with that beard. Phoebe, it's been a great week in New Orleans. This stadium, by the way, was built in 1975. It's the 5th oldest in the NFL, but it is still a grand old lady, and it looked fantastic tonight.
It looked incredible. I mean, the atmosphere in here, it was so loud at certain points. We were lip reading, even with our
early on.
noise canceling
headphones. Pre-game was a struggle.
But it's brilliant. I mean, what a stunning way to have this game. And last time you were here was the lights out game, is that right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, how did you feel? No concern.
No, this was all right this time. I never felt. I actually forgot. Once you get into the game, I thought, these lights aren't going out. But it was just, we've seen close Super Bowls here. The Patriots, we saw, but then we've also seen a couple of blowouts, Jeff. San Francisco over Denver, the Bears in '85. Yep. This felt more like that tonight.
And I'm glad you brought this stadium up, because this stadium is integral to this community.
Yes.
When Katrina came and thousands and thousands and thousands of New Orleanians were homes devastated, left homeless, they opened this stadium and people came and lived on the floor of this stadium.
Right.
There was a gigantic hole in the roof, and this stadium stood for toughness and resiliency in a city that just is so unique in America. It's a wonderful story.
Yeah, well, it has capped our 2024 season, which Phoebe has been fantastic again. Great fun. It's been good all season long to have 2 podcasts a week now. We are growing, and we got nominated for an award.
We did.
Yeah,
I feel very
did we
lucky.
win that? When's that happened? I don't think we did. We can't have done.
Producers, what do we got going on?
Well, we were going up against the Kelseys.
Steve,
No,
the one
they're shaking their heads behind us.
The one consistent, the one constant is our guy, our quarterback, Neil
Oh.
Reynolds,
Exactly.
who always does a great job. It has been so much fun, and can't wait to do it again.
Yeah, let's roll on 2020. Well, no, actually, let's have a break. Then we'll roll on
break, just a little
2025,
bit.
just a little bit. So thank you, Jeff, all season long on Inside the Huddle, and you, Phoebe. It's been brilliant. It's been amazing. Thank you, everyone, for watching along and listening. We are going to sign off from the Superdome. Amazingly, the voices have lasted, but not if I don't shut up. So we'll say goodbye for now, and we'll see you next time.
Aloha.
Oh, yeah, I forgot that.
Go inside the Huddle with Sky Sports.